bouncing. I'm bouncing.
Yeah, man.
Are we in? Hello, everyone. This is Noreen Sumpter from Beyond Potential. Live life your way. And tonight is going to be really, really exciting because you know what day it is? It is Tuesday. And as I always say, Tuesday is my favorite day of the week, especially between the hours of 9 and 10, because it's my show and I get to talk about things I want to talk about. I get to talk to people that I want to talk with, and just like have a really good time. And, my show is really about people and their passions and like living life their way, going beyond their personal potential and just really being their true self. I mean, it's like your passion. I believe that when people are living their passion, it opens up the door for another person to see you be, so that they can actually gives other people permission to live their life and live their passions. So this is what my show is about. It's like all facets of life and what people bring to it, and just being your 100% true self and living your passion. So tonight, I just want to say I bit my tongue. If you've ever bit your finger while you're eating, right? Because you put your finger too far into your mouth and you bite your finger. That's just like the weirdest thing. And this week I bit my tongue on the side, and it is so painful. And I bit it. It's a good job it's my tongue and not somebody else's tongue, because if it was somebody else's tongue, I'm sure I would have bitten it off. But so my weekend was great. I had a great weekend. And this week has been great also. Lena Horne got her first stamp, which is really great. So the post office gave Lena Horne her stamp, and that's a big deal. That's a big deal. She was the first Black woman to get like an award or like have like her first feature film and stuff like that. There's a lot of history about Lena Horne. So, but anyway, less of that and more of what am I talking about and who am I talking with tonight? So tonight I'm speaking with Billy Davis.
Yeah, man.
And Billy Davis is a really good friend of mine. Come close. Be close to me.
Got it.
Is a really good friend of mine. We met at Landmark Education
years ago, and
we were in the Introduction Leaders program, which was a like really intense program, which I did twice.
So did I.
And you know what was so cool about Billy was that he was in a band, and we used to. I mean, there was a guy that you had this really big house. You remember the big house?
Yes.
And they had a band, and we would just rock out. We'd go anywhere to listen to this band, and it was just so cool, and we had so much fun. So when I think of Billy, I think of all the good times that we had, the laughter, the fun, the intensity of the program, and all that good stuff. So why do I have Billy on the show tonight? Well, Billy for me is a person that I call Billy the bounce back man, right? There is nothing that could happen to this man shy of what's happened to him where he will not and cannot bounce back from. So that's who you are for me. You're just a bounce back man.
I should bring you everywhere and just have you walk into a room as my intro music.
So I'm going to get you sucker where everybody at their feet.
Yes, just Noreen Sumpter walks in. Everybody, ladies and gentlemen, it's the bounce back man.
So Billy, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And so just tell us a little bit about yourself. Well, just tell us anything that you want to say right now.
Oh, wow. So first of all, thank you for having me on your show. This is such a cool opportunity and such a great honor. I appreciate it. So my name is Billy Davis. I'm a 43-year-old fitness entrepreneur, born and raised in the great state of Kansas.
Black man from Kansas.
Black guy from Kansas. There are a few of us. I was an athlete growing up. I've always been pretty chatty. I've always been very inquisitive. I've always been very much an athlete.
Right.
And, the big thing that, I moved up here, a little bit of backtrack. So I did that. I moved up here to New York in October of 98. I eventually got into fitness and personal training.
Mm-hmm. Were you doing that? Were you doing fitness and training before coming to New York?
No, I was an all-state athlete and a Division I athlete for the University of Kansas, Rock Chalk Jayhawk. I just beat up K-State last week.
What was your sport?
I was a quarter miler. I was a sprinter. I was a state champion in the quarter mile in high school, and then I ran for KU 92 to 96.
Uh-huh.
I think we still got a few marks on a few all-time things there.
Right.
Me and Nate Hill and Brian Martin and David Cooksey and some of those guys. Gene Coleman, we had some really good runs. So I was pretty fast. I wasn't amazingly fast, but I was very fast.
Uh-huh.
And did that for a while. I was also in a boy band and an a cappella group back before it was way cool.
What was the name of the boy band?
The boy. You're laughing, but you're. See,
I know, I'm laughing at the word boy band.
Okay, so
I'm looking at it and I'm going, boy band.
Boy band. I was in a boy band called Slow Motion. So if you're from Kansas, you know about slow motion with a line over the O, and that means I have to give a shout out to the guy who started the band for us, Roger Ortega and the Ro-Ros. Roger has rejuvenated his career and was actually at the Grammys the other night.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and a lot of it started with the boy band. I mean, he was always the driving force behind that. So yeah, I was in a boy band, and the boy band got me to New York. At one point, we were doing such a great job in Kansas. We said, "Hey, man, what if we took our show on the road? Should we go left or right?" One way was LA and the other way was New York. And we were like, let's go to New York.
Right.
So we packed up everything we had. Everybody took a paycheck. I moved up here with $300 in a box.
Well, I came with $60.
Yeah.
60 pounds.
Yeah, that's about it. Yeah. I came up here with nothing in a suitcase and a box. Yeah. And I kind of a one-way ticket and said, let's try it. And I got out here, and before I knew it, I was like, this is awesome. And I didn't want to leave. I remember the thing that did it, I went to the West Indian Day Parade, and I'd never seen that many black people in one place before in my life.
Was it shocking?
It was I called my mom, and I remember calling my mom and thinking, I was like, Mom, you're not going to believe it. I just marched in a parade through Brooklyn with 3 million black people for 24 hours. And it was, I'm telling her about the costumes and the music. And she sat for a second, and then she looked at me. She was on the phone. She goes, "You're not coming back, are you?" I said, "I don't think so." Right. So I was only supposed to be here for 6 months.
Right.
So yeah, I just came up here and stayed.
You sound like me when I came here I was supposed to come for 6 weeks and I ended up staying for 6 months.
There you go.
Poor mummy. But so 3 million people. I mean, there are a lot of people.
Yeah.
How many black people in Kansas? Too?
I'm sure there are 3 million, but they're very widely dispersed. I'm not saying that Kansas doesn't have people of color. It's just you kind of grow up being one of a couple of black people in a largely very white,
right.
There's just not a lot of variety, not a lot of diversity. And I was very blessed. I grew up around amazing people with amazing teachers, amazing coaches, amazing support. Right. But that was a very unique lane. I think that overall, we would all agree, if you're from there, that there's not as much opportunity. There's not as much diversity. And for me, it wasn't, I needed something more. Right. And I was like one of those Disney characters looking up the sky going, what else is out there? Right. This can't be it. It's so quiet, And
there are other people on the other side.
Yeah, there's got to be something. It's so quiet, So
I personally think that the stories that I know about you and what you've shared with me, I think your life is pretty amazing.
It would make a great movie.
Yeah, it would make a great movie.
Will Smith, come get me. I'll let you boy.
Because you actually grew up with 2 blind parents.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that.
So both of my parents were visually impaired, William and Judy. Funny enough, they had the same last surname.
Oh, they did?
So the funny story is they met at a school for the blind. The college they went to is in Emporia, Kansas. It's known for 3 things. It has a great music program, a great education program, and a program for blind kids. Right. My dad was a musician. My mother was a teacher. Right. Both of their last names were Davis. So my dad walks up to my mom and says, "Hi, I'm Bill Davis. What's your name?" My mom, she thought it was a pickup line. Really, your name is Davis. But yeah, they met in Emporia, and about a year or so later,
they didn't even have to get married.
Well,
they just said we're married.
Right. So both my parents were, I was raised by visually impaired parents, which meant that we walked a lot because we never had a car.
Right. And that just when he told me that they walked a lot, it didn't dawn on me that, they walked a lot because, they wouldn't have a car because they can't see to drive.
Right. So we didn't have a car. Another funny thing is when you have a blind father who's a musician, you don't necessarily learn how to catch a football or a baseball. So I sucked at baseball, football, and anything involved catching something because we just never did that.
No, and you know what's funny? Because I look at you and I think when you said you were athlete at school, I'm thinking, he's probably a footballer.
I was a great football player. I just couldn't catch a football. I could run. I could run over people. I could squat. I could lift. I was fast. That's why track was so good, because I didn't have to catch anything. I just had to get there first. That was easy. You involve a second skill set, and I'm terrible.
Oh wow. So both your parents were blind.
Yes.
Right. And your father was a musician and your mother was a teacher. What did your mother teach?
She taught school.
Yeah, I mean,
eventually she settled into what they call TDL, which is techniques of daily living. So what she did for the most of her career is, if you were recently blind or you had a deteriorative eyesight of any sort, she was in charge of teaching you how to manage your home.
Right.
So she would teach you how to cook, how to clean, how to vacuum your house, how to fold your clothes, how to iron without burning down the place. So her office was literally an apartment, like a functioning apartment with an office off to the side.
Right.
And you could tell what phase of the training she was in by like what was going on.
Right.
So we would always try to make sure we were there during the cooking classes, because, funny thing about blind people, they don't know how to cook they don't cook brownies straight. So you could always go there and get like really odd shaped giant brownies, because blind people can't cut straight lines when they cut brownies.
So you guys went on the brownie day when?
Oh yeah, we love brownie. But I was also always like, and I remember being a teenager and mom being like, "Hey, Friday you're coming to the dance." And I'm like, "I don't want to go to the dance, Mom." She's like, "We need boys." So I'd be like the only able-bodied boy there, and all the girls there would be like, "Hi, Billy." I'm like, "Hi, I don't want to be here." My mom was like, "I got a son, I'll drag him." So I was always at all the dances trying to look blind.
So now on TV, I've seen this thing where people want to get your features. They want to see it. Do they literally? I've never.
Yeah, sometimes
they touch your face.
Yeah, touch your face sometimes. But I've always had a pretty distinct voice, so they could always hear me coming from a mile away.
And then also with the Ray Charles, who was visually impaired. I don't know if he was born that way.
Pretty sure.
Yeah, but he would touch women's above their elbows to see how, if that, I don't know, is that was fat or thin? Is it, so,
I don't know. He did. Maybe he did. I never did.
I
wasn't blind.
Right. So I'm guessing everybody has their own, just like if you're sighted, everybody has their own.
Yeah, the body, the people figure out a workaround. My father was a master musician. He was a childhood prodigy. He had perfect pitch. So he wasn't just a musician. He was like a musician's musician. He was the kind of musician that everybody, like people were just in awe of him.
So he traveled around the world?
Relative to his sight, I'm sure that probably hindered him a little bit. He had a little bit of a chip on his shoulder and he played like it, but it also made him magnificent on stage. And he always wanted to go bigger. And I think that his social skills and the fact that he was visually impaired probably stopped that to a degree.
And so, okay. So I'm just going to take this minute and we're going to just come right back. Okay. So we'll be right back.
Right back.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
Are you stuck in a rut? Negative thoughts, feelings, and conversations got you down? Hi, I'm Noreen Sumpter, the Potentiator. Tune in every Tuesday, 9 to 10 Eastern Time, and listen for new ideas on my show, Beyond Potential, Live Life Your Way, on talkradio.nyc.
Who do you want to connect with?
Are you an entrepreneur or intrapreneur looking to build your following?
Welcome to our show.
Follow Me Friday with Joan
and Priya.
Tune in every Friday at noon Eastern
on talkradio.nyc.
We're your digital connectors. Woo woo!
Talking Alternative Radio, 24 hours a day.
pitch that. Hi, so we're back. This is Noreen Sumpter, and I'm excited to say that I'm speaking to Billy Davis, and we're from Beyond Potential, Live Life Your Way. So go ahead, Billy. So the question that I wanted to ask you, which I think is really cool, you're like third generation college.
Yeah, I didn't graduate, but yeah, I went to college.
Your parents.
Yeah, both sides.
Product of.
Yeah.
And you're a product of teachers, Army people. You tell me.
I just, I've got a really strong, proud family. I'm really proud of my family lineage. I mean, we've got a lot of military, we've got a lot of teachers, third generation college on both sides. Like mom and both my parents had master's degrees, which to be of color and from Kansas and visually impaired, well, not even from Kansas, but of color and visually impaired to get master's degrees was a huge thing for me.
Right.
So that was a big deal, watching that. So college was never really, it was always college or the military that I was going to do.
Right. So I just want to lead into this. So why do I have Billy on the show tonight? I have Billy on the show because Billy is a motorcycle enthusiast. Is it more than that?
I'm a thrill seeker. I'm an adrenaline junkie.
He's a thrill seeker and an adrenaline junkie. And what year was it that you lost your leg?
I was involved in a motorcycle accident and lost my leg above the knee on May 19th, 2012. 2012,
Billy lost his leg. Right. So now people might say, oh, wow, he lost his leg. But for me, and, for most of the people that know Billy, it was like, oh, Billy lost his leg. It's like, yeah, if it was anybody else, I'd worry about them. But Billy, no, I know he'll be fine.
Yeah, I was a little offended by that.
And tell us about that, because everybody said that about you.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the what's so is I was in a really bad motorcycle accident that damaged, I broke my tibia compound fracture, dislocated the knee, broke the femur in 2 places, snapped my femoral artery, bled out, almost died, 50% of my blood volume. It was bad. 5 days in a coma, 11 hours of surgery.
Right.
And then when I woke up, everybody was like, oh, he's alive. Okay, he'll be fine. And I remember the knee-jerk reaction when I was in the hospital, that kept coming back. I was like, isn't anybody kind of concerned? And I was like, no, you're going to be okay. And not like I didn't think I was going to be okay. I just was, I think I just had an expectation of a little bit more sympathy.
Right.
And it just didn't happen. So I was like, oh, okay, well, that's not going to happen. So let's just get on with the getting on.
Right.
And I did exactly what everybody thought I was going to do, which is the way I'm wired. I mean,
right, exactly. So it's not like we didn't have sympathy for your situation.
No.
It's just that, like, we know who you are.
Yeah.
So it's like us going, oh, poor
Billy. Yeah, everybody wants that. Who doesn't want to be coddled a little bit?
Yeah, I know, but we'll coddle you. But when we weren't, we're not going to sit there and coddle you all day.
Oh, no. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we'll go, oh, okay. Because, like, it was a mutual person that called, Dave called me up and said to me, oh, Billy? And I was like, yeah. He goes, he lost a leg. And I was like, oh, wow. Really? I said, oh, he'll be fine. It's Billy. He'll be fine. We expect you to
make it sound like I lost my phone. He lost his leg. Where did he leave it? He'll be all right. He's just gonna get another one. Or just...
You know what? Like, people would have been, he lost his iPhone. Damn, man, that sucks. He lost his iPhone. Oh, but Billy losing his leg. Yeah, it's like, he'll be fine.
Yeah, he'll be okay.
Long term,
yeah,
he'll be fine.
Yeah.
And so, like, what I say is that, like, with I expect him to really have, if you can, a dope prosthesis.
Yeah.
I expect him to have a state-of-the-art equipment.
I do.
I expect him to be making a difference with other people in the who have lost legs or limbs. I expect him to be an example and a strong support for that. So,
but
these are all the expectations.
I feel like I'm uniquely qualified for this particular obstacle.
Right.
I feel like, given the fact that both my parents are visually impaired, I grew up around disabled folks. I'm very optimistic. I'm really athletic. I'm allergic to alcohol. We joked about that earlier. I have a genuine allergy to alcohol.
So he couldn't really drink himself to death.
No, I would have loved to, but yeah, it wasn't going to work out.
No, you couldn't do that.
Just would have been a big stomach ache all weekend.
All week long. All week long.
Yeah. So, and I don't really have any like horrible vices. So it was like, and to me, to be honest, the way that I contextualized it, when I woke up, it landed like okay, well, there's that. How can I get around it? I even joked with my mother at one point.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking. I remember I was still in ICU.
What was that like for your mother, actually?
For both of my parents, that my dad took it harder than my mom did.
Mm-hmm.
My mom, she knew I was going to be okay.
She's like us.
Yeah. And I remember telling her, I said, Mom, it's okay. This is the world evening the playing field for everybody else. So and that's what she kind of laughed, and she still jokes. She'll ask me every now and then, "How's the leg?" I'm like, "Oh, it hasn't grown back." Like, I just make jokes about it because why not? My dad took it a little bit harder because I think he viewed his disability as like such a challenge.
Right.
He didn't want me to have to go through some of the things that he had to go through.
Right.
And on that same conversation, I remember my mother saying, "Well, don't come home because there's no resources for you here.
Right.
If you have resources out there, stay there." So if I wasn't going back to Kansas before, after losing the leg, I really wasn't going back because there's no way for me to support myself and do the things I need to do and get the dope prosthetic. And the community isn't the same out there.
So tell me, like, what was it like? So you wake up, you're in a coma for 5 days. So technically you weren't really with us, or could you hear?
Well, it's funny because I kind of was.
Okay, tell me what was going on.
So here's the what so. So, like I said, I broke the leg. I'm in a coma for 5.5 days. It was horrible.
Was it induced coma, or are you just in a coma?
Yeah, I think I kind of passed out. I mean, I got down. They say I lost 85% of my body's blood in one couple of minutes.
Right.
So I was pretty sleepy,
right,
to say the least, when I got to the hospital. And after 11 hours of surgery, it was one of those like, okay, we've done all we can do. If you pray, you should do that.
Right.
And he flatlined twice and he came back. And I think the doctor said something akin to like, "This son of a bitch just doesn't want to die." Like, it was just.
Could you hear that?
No, they told me about it later. They told me about it later. But the funny part is, and this kind of alludes to the other conversation we have about Cheeseburger Day, is that even though I was out, I kept waking up. But I would wake up. Can we curse on this show?
Sure.
No? Okay. So I would wake up and I would have these awkward little conversations. So it would go something like this. I would wake up and I'd say, "Where's my boots?" And someone would say, we took your boots, sir." "Oh, did I lose my leg in a motorcycle accident?" "Yes, you did." "Shit!" And I'd go back to sleep. And then I would dream about myself riding a bicycle with one leg. And then about 12, 14 hours later, I'd wake up again. And they'd be like, "Mr. Davis, do you know where you are?" And I'd be, "Orange County Choppers." And like, "No, you're at Westchester Medical." "Did I lose my leg in a motorcycle accident?" "Yeah." "Damn it!" And I'd go back to sleep. And then I'd dream about myself swimming with one leg.
Right.
So this kept happening.
So you're stepping into the future because I've seen you with all of those things.
All those things. So I was literally like working it out while in the coma.
Right.
And I think I had one dream I remember that didn't involve a sport.
Right.
And that was one where I was on the motorcycle. I remember riding the motorcycle, and then all of a sudden I'm kind of in the air watching myself ride a motorcycle from about 12 feet above, kind of like a drone.
Levitating, right.
And I remember looking down and going, "That doesn't look right. That's not my reality. That can't be. I'm not supposed to be able to do this. This can't be good."
Right. And
then I woke up again and it was like, "Where are my boots?" So
it's like a replay.
It was, yeah. And then there was one instance where, and just so I don't have to do the 20-minute version.
Right.
So you've been in Manhattan a while.
Right.
So I used to live in Jersey.
Right.
And I used to ride a road bike from gym to gym to gym. I was an independent trainer. And a lot of times I would take the PATH train in, ride to 14th Street, and ride up and down 6th Avenue to my gyms.
Right.
There was a gym on 19th. There was one on 57th and 2nd. And so this one dream I had, I'm on 6th Avenue. I'm riding towards the park. It's a gorgeous day.
Right.
Sun is out, breeze on my face, and all you can hear is the hum of the bicycle tire on a clean street. There are no cars.
Right.
There's nobody on the sidewalk. There's no trash. And every time I get to a light, it turns green. And as I'm riding towards Central Park, I've got this perfect peace and the city is mine. And I remember thinking to myself, this is amazing. I could stay here forever. And then as I looked around and didn't see anybody, I thought, but there's nobody to talk to. I'm going to get lonely. And almost immediately I thought, I'm hungry. Just out of nowhere.
Right.
And I think this is where being a chatty Cathy kind of stopped me, because I didn't have it manifested as a live thought, but I remember thinking, if I choose yes, I can't come back from that.
Right.
Something about it was like, I knew that I had to be careful with my words. So I said, you know what? I'm going to get lonely. And all of a sudden, boom, I instantly got that hunger sensation.
Right.
No, I wasn't back. I was hungry.
Right.
So there used to be a deli on 57th and 2nd called Hamilton's Deli. And I used to work at a gym across the street. And I would go to Hamilton's Deli all the time. They knew my order. They knew my name. I would often walk in there with my bike in full gear, helmet, spin shoes, the whole thing clipped in. So I rode my bike in the dream. I ride up 6th Avenue, hard right on 56th, cross over to 2nd Avenue, hard left against the traffic for half a block, hop off the bike and roll right into the spot.
Right.
And as I walk in,
Kind of sexy, actually.
oh, I'm sure it was. You know what I look like. I'm a good looking dude. So I walk into the deli and I walk up and I say, "Excuse me, sir, could I get a cheeseburger and a Coke?" And the guy turns around behind the counter and his face is completely erased, almost like it's pixelated. Like I can't make out his eyes, his nose, and all I hear is wah, 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 wah. And I was like, "Oh, okay." And he turns around and then it's like he's stuck in like an old video game, like an old first person, like a Grand Theft Auto. I don't know if you played the old games where you get stuck between like a taxi and a building. It's like a glitch in the game, and he's just back there bouncing back and forth. Never mind the fact that he's talking in trumpet and I can't make out his face. I'm like, oh, maybe he's busy. He's, preparing, he's cutting tomatoes or something. And then I hear a bell ring from the door, and I look to my right, and I see a woman walk in. She's dressed all in black, and I'm sure it's a woman, but her face completely blank, completely pixelated. She walks right up to the counter, and she goes, wah, 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 wah. And the guy turns right around and answers her, wah, 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 wah. And I look at her and I say, "Excuse me, miss. I was here first. I'm sorry. And I'm sure that it's because I'm black.
Right.
I turned it into a racial thing automatically, which isn't normally me, but I was a little upset.
Right.
So I'm sitting there watching myself get ignored, and all of a sudden I yell out, I slam my hand on the counter. I said, "Damn it! Can a brother get a cheeseburger and a Coke?" And instantly I'm in a different room. And there are these lights flashing and these white things flying at me. And so I think I'm being attacked by aliens. So I scream and get up to defend myself. And I realize that my hands are restrained. There's something in my mouth and I'm restrained. There's something around my neck and like something in my mouth. And I don't know what's going on. And as I stop screaming, I realize I'm in a hospital room. The lights are medical equipment and the white things are nurses. And the woman she looks at me and she says, "I'm sorry, Mr. Davis, but you've been in a horrible motorcycle accident. You've lost your leg. We apologize about the restraints, but yesterday you tried to walk out of here. So we'll take the restraints off, but you have to promise not to leave." Right. And as soon as she said that, I remembered it. I looked down and I saw my leg, and I remembered trying to get out of here and being like, "I'm out of here." And then all of a sudden I saw my bloody stump and was like, "What the hell?" And went back to sleep. Right. It obviously sedated me. And so she takes the thing off. I kind of look at her and I nod. And she takes the restraints off, and I look at her. Mind you, 30 seconds ago I was ordering a cheeseburger. Right. And I look at the woman and I say, "Can a brother get a cheeseburger and a Coke? I'm so hungry right now." And she just looks at me and she says, "Yeah, I think we can do that." And then like that was the end of it. And that was the last time I woke up from the coma. And so every year on May 24th, 5 days after the day I crashed, I celebrate with a cheeseburger.
Cool. Oh, so this is how the cheeseburger.
That's how Cheeseburger Day was born. For the first couple of days.
I'm getting chills.
Oh. So for the first couple of years, I just did it as just kind of like, "Hey guys, remember that day I didn't die? I got my cheeseburger." And I noticed that people from Kansas would put them up, and California, and people I knew from Texas, they would all like, "Hey Billy, we're celebrating, have a cheeseburger." And someone said, "You should try to figure out how to monetize that." And fast forward a few years, I ended up doing triathlons, and the challenge was, the gauntlet was laid down, and I said, "You know what if I use this as an opportunity to raise money?" So every year leading up to the New York City Triathlon, I asked people to donate the price of a cheeseburger to the foundation that I raised money for, which is Wiggleyourtoes. And last year, the first year I raised $8,000. Last year I raised $11,000. We were able to put $50,000 together from corporate sponsorship and buy a prosthetic for a Paralympian that we love, Miss Emily Gray, who's out there in Brooklyn. This year my goal is $25,000. I'm trying to raise $25,000, y'all. So if you are listening to this, go to Facebook, Cheeseburger Day 2018, and you'll see a post that we've got up. I'm trying to get Wahlburgers in there. I'm trying to get Corner Social to do it again. We got down in Tennessee.
Corner Social, is that in Harlem?
That's in Harlem, yeah. They've hosted the last 2 years in a row. Raphael's been really great to us. Down in Nashville, I'm trying to get the Steaming Goat Truck. They do a thing for us. Back in Minneapolis, they got a place that does it. So we're trying to raise some money.
Wow, that's a really awesome story. Yay! Really, really. So we're going to take a break after that. I think I'm over me limit, but whatever. I couldn't cut that story. All right, we'll be right back.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
Are you into comics, movies, and pop culture at large? What about music and TV? Then you're in for a treat. This is Michael Dolce, your host on TalkingAlternative.com. I've been professionally writing comic books, screenplays, and music articles for almost 15 years. Catch my show, Secrets of the Sire, at its new primetime slot, Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and get the inside scoop on the pop culture universe you love to talk about. For more info, go to secretsofthesire.com.
Talking Alternative Radio, 24 hours a day.
Hi, this is Noreen Sumpter from Beyond Potential, Live Life Your Way. And we're back with Billy Davis talking about Cheeseburger Day, which is a day where he's going to raise $25,000.
Trying to raise 25 between now and July 1st, but Cheeseburger Day is like the catalyst for me.
Right.
That's a big one.
25 to provide prosthesis.
Yes. So Wiggleyourtoes is an organization that provides prosthetic equipment for people who need it.
Mm-hmm.
And that can look like a prosthetic leg. It can look like a wheelchair. It can look like an adaptation to your van or driving vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
It can look like a treadmill.
Right.
But they were able to help me get the prosthesis I need, to run the triathlon. And, when I got my prosthetic, one of the things about people who suffer from limb loss is most insurance policies have a policy that says something like you're allowed $50,000 and it's one limb per customer per lifetime.
Right. Ooh.
Yeah. One limb.
So that's why you see people walking around with these old school limbs.
A lot of times, yeah.
So what does it actually cost to get a prosthesis?
Well, the one I have is a low-grade military knee. This is a Genium, and it's about $85,000 just for the knee.
Right.
$50,000 will get you a plie or a sea leg in a lot of cases, maybe a Rio. We found out really quickly that, we joke around about me being not being normal. Mm-hmm. I'm so active in my lifestyle that I kept breaking my previous prosthesis.
Right.
And at first they kept reinforcing it with components for a heavier patient.
Right.
And it doesn't do any good if you set the prosthetic for a 400-pound person.
Right.
If I take 17,000 steps, it's still going to break if I take 17,000 steps in a day. So when I got to my current prosthesis, the first thing they said is we need a prosthetic that's built for a more active human being. Right. I'm just, for an amputee, I am hyperactive.
Right.
For a regular person, I'm pretty active. Yeah.
I was about to say that.
So
let me just catch my thoughts here.
No worries.
So a person this is what I'm getting from it. So the average person who becomes an amputee is no way as active as you are, and they're probably just not active at all. They probably just use it to just get around their daily life.
Well, there are 4 classifications of amputees. Okay. There's K1 through 4.
Right.
K1 is you have a prosthetic and you probably don't use it.
Right.
KU is you have one, you kind of use it mildly.
Right.
K3 is like you use it most of the time. And K4 is you don't leave the house without it.
Right.
I would probably be like a K6.
Right.
Because in addition to wearing mine from the time I get up in the morning to the time I go to bed at night, again, I do on a light day, I'm putting 13,000, 14,000 steps on my prosthesis every day.
And the average step they want to say is 10,000.
Yeah, I work in a gym with stairs.
Right.
I live in Manhattan, so I take trains. I walk to the gym, and then on top of that, I train for triathlons, which I took on a couple of years ago.
Right.
And even with the triathlons, when I woke up, I tried to think of what's the one thing I can do that will be harder than being an amputee.
Right.
And so for me, it was I can't swim. At the time, I couldn't swim.
Mm-hmm.
And
you can swim now, though.
Oh, yeah. I learned how to swim after I lost a leg at 38.
Right.
Black guy from Kansas. There's a joke for you.
Mm-hmm.
Black guy from Kansas. Never learned how to swim. There are no natural bodies of water. And we went to the pool. I just never went to the pool. So, yeah. So I learned how to swim. And if you could see me, I'm built like an outside linebacker.
Mhm.
So to say that I'm going to run
Can
distance,
we see him?
so to run distance is just against my genetic makeup.
Right.
So to me, the hardest thing that I could do is figure out how to do triathlons.
Right.
And I thought, well, if I can learn how to do a triathlon, I can absolutely be good at being an amputee.
Right.
And so it just became really simple.
Those words don't even come together. Be good at being an amputee. That's like not even a thing. That word, you wouldn't even put the good amputee. You wouldn't even put that together in a sentence.
I struggle, but I go back and forth with remembering that I'm disabled, because remember, I'm new to the club. I just joined 5-6 years ago.
Right.
You know, a lot of the people I run with, a lot of the athletes I participate with have had these challenges their entire life. They don't know what it's like to not have them.
Right.
So, you know, a lot of times I find myself supporting other limb loss survivors and people with challenges as more of a guide than
Right.
a fellow athlete.
Right.
You know, numbers wise on the triathlon spectrum, I'm one of the last guys to finish the line all the time. I'm pretty slow. In fact, my first triathlon, I finished dead last. And I know everybody's like, oh, but you finished. Yeah, but the Division I athlete in me knows that there were 3,786 participants. I finished 3,777. And the other guys I didn't pass anybody. I finished dead last.
Right.
So
But could you give yourself a bly? You know, you're building up. You're going to build up.
oh no, I get that. I just like the competitor in me was like, but you still finished dead last.
Right.
Get back in there and do it again. Like, I don't want to be a triathlete. I want to be a triathlete that other triathletes go, dude, I don't know if I can get the trophy to the abilities here. That guy's for real. He's a badass. I want to be a badass. Like that. I'm used to being a badass.
Well, then you're a badass, and now we're just going to live into it.
I want trophies. I want trophies. I want records. I want the Olympic. I want an Olympic jacket. I want to go to Ironman. I want to be in Kona. I want to get invited to Kona. That's a big one.
There's something I'm hearing inside of the story that you just told. Like, you know, you're swimming. You weren't swimming.
Right.
You're now swimming.
Right.
So it seems to me as though you're living into a future that you've already seen, but now you're just living into it.
It is interesting that of the things I dreamt about, it was swimming, cycling, running.
Mm-hmm.
That's a triathlon.
That's a triathlon. Yeah.
I don't know why those three things kept coming up, but I distinctly remember all three of them. I wonder if I could swim with one leg, but I can't swim. I wonder if I could cycle with one leg. I didn't have a prosthesis on.
Right.
I wonder what a running prosthesis would look like.
Right.
And again, it was kind of waking up, asking about it, and then taking it back into whatever, dream state I was in.
Right. No, that's pretty awesome. That is
it's been a unique experience, to say the least.
It is. I mean, and talking to you, I mean, yes, I can see the leg and everything, but talking to you, you are not your leg.
No.
You know what I mean? Like there are some people who have these situations and they are that thing that they have, but you are not. You're just normal. So what are some of I know there's nothing that you can't do.
I'm not really good at hopping on my left leg.
Oh.
I suck at jump rope now, especially on the left side.
But are you working on it?
It's not a priority, but yeah, I can if I really. Every time I think I can't do something, I go, well, I think I can do, and then I do it.
Right, exactly.
If like I found a jump rope competition and I was like, I'd probably figure out a way to get in there.
So what are some of the things that people have said to you since, people who have prosthesis, what have they said to you since you becoming, an amputee? Meaning like, what are some of the things that you say, oh my God, how can you X?
I've gotten everything. I mean, little kids are very curious. They want to know if I sleep in it or if I'm, how far I've been to events where kids are reaching up the leg to try to figure out where it stops. I get everything from, I don't know.
And he came here today in shorts.
Well, amputees, I tend to run hot. Amputees run hot. If you consider that your brain is calibrated to distribute heat for X amount of skin surface.
Yes.
And it doesn't understand that you're missing a limb. So it distributes the same amount of energy to heat, the same amount of surface area, and it gets concentrated in less surface area.
Right.
So my temperature typically runs a little warm. So even though it's not, I mean, it's brisk, but it's not as cold to me as it might be to you.
No, it's not.
I'm okay with it.
I've got menopause, so it's not even cold for me. It's like I could be sweating. Today I was walking around in a t-shirt.
Okay, there you go. All right.
Now, let me ask you another question. Do you have the invisible sensations? Like,
phantom pains.
Yeah.
So I get asked that question a lot. Yeah. They're more like phantom sensations. So, and it's funny because only when I talk about them, they flare up.
And what is that like?
The best way I can think of to describe it, the physical sensation is kind of like the limb is going to sleep, and it manifests. If you've seen any of did you see the previews or the last Pirates of the Caribbean?
No.
Okay. If you saw the way the visual graphics were on that, where their faces were kind of there and not there and kind of floaty underwater, even though they were above ground, that's what the foot feels like. So when I think about it, or when I talk about, like right now, I can feel the arch of my foot. I can feel my big toe. And it almost feels like if I really try, I could move it.
Right.
Like I can feel myself barely moving my big toe right now, even though it's not there.
Right.
The pains that they talk about, I don't get as often. It's more like numbing. Like I said, it's kind of like the tingling sensation of your foot going to sleep.
Right. Right.
And every now and then I'll just get a random, like, it feels like somebody just ripped off a toenail, you know, or I stepped on a piece of glass, and you're just like, every now and then someone in the middle of a conversation, I'll just sit there and I'll wince. Right. That's a phantom pain. But more often than not, it's more of a sensation.
So it's just a memory.
It's like because your brain doesn't know that it's not there. Right. And like I said, whenever anyone asks me about it, as soon as I think about it, boom, I get the whole, like I can feel right now my, like part of my calf. Right. I can feel the arch of my foot, the knuckle underneath my big toe. And as I talk about it, I can feel all the toes, and I can almost feel myself moving them like I want to.
It's like a spirit sensation.
It's weird. It's weird.
Huh. That's interesting.
It's also funny too, because if someone bangs a certain way, or if you think you're supposed to feel pain, you'll feel pain. If you would like to take a hammer and hit my prosthetic foot, I would probably I'd freak out a little bit.
Right, because you're expecting to feel pain.
Right, so your brain sends it to you in advance.
Right. Huh. So does it get cold?
No.
Okay.
No.
I'm just asking.
No, it doesn't. I mean, if I went somewhere where the prosthesis, and I stayed in the cold long enough for the prosthetic to literally start to, like Antarctica or something, I'm sure that the limb would get cold, but it doesn't. No.
So what has changed other than the loss of the limb? What has changed about your physicality? Like I saw you climbing up a wall.
Yeah, I do rock climbing during my down season. I took on rock climbing this year. There's an adaptive rock climbing group that I like, and they're awesome. Shout out to Adaptive Rock Climbing and Aspire. And I figured it would be good for grip strength and kind of get me in shape for trial. It's something to do. I mean,
so you have really good, like, what can you push up? How many push-ups can you do?
More than anybody else in the room on any given day. Yeah, I just go, how many can you do? And I do one more than that.
No, but because I'm imagining, I imagine that your upper body strength must be like ridiculous.
It is, but here's the other thing too. I didn't come here unhinged. Like, I have a shoulder impingement, from being a meathead back in, when I was younger. I had ACL surgery like everybody else I know from having a knee injury. So, I mean, like, my body is kind of wrecked. I have asthma.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. I mean, like, I've got a lot of reasons not to work out. I figure I'm going to be a really interesting autopsy at some point. So I've got a hip hike the prosthetic gives me a hip hike on the left. So I've got the occasional knee pain. I've got the occasional back pain. My shoulder sometimes hurt. I tore a bicep when I was 35.
So I was watching something that you had on Facebook the other day, and you were laughing about it. Right? You said that you were on the treadmill. You were on the treadmill, and you were working out, and something to do with your balance.
So I need to learn how to run. My running isn't strong, so I thought, well, let me walk on a treadmill and see if I can get used to walking without using the handrails. Because when I run on a treadmill, I usually use handrails. So I was walking on the treadmill, and I had my music going, and people were giving me, when I run on the treadmill, it's a spectacle. Right. So everybody's walking by, oh, Billy, good job. You're such an inspiration. Yay, thanks. I appreciate that. And the song on my iPad, on my phone, came up as Hall of Fame. Women in the Hall of Fame. And, it's a cool song. And at the end of it, there's this chant like, you can be a champion. You're a champion. And I heard that, and I put my hands in the air like, yes, I'm a champion. I was like, I'm a champion. I just flew off the back of the treadmill. Like, I didn't even get the champion out. I just, hands up, I'm a champion.
And that was the thing that you wanted people to see.
Yeah,
that.
totally. Yeah. I was like, man, if you guys could. And it happened like literally 90 seconds after the video. The guy that was helping me took the video, turned around, walked away, and I was like, that was awesome. I'm a champion. And I looked up and nobody saw it. And I was like, dude, if I'm going to take a fall, at least let somebody be around to laugh,
right? All right, so we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays, 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
Are you feeling unhappy with your body, shape, or size? Ever feel out of control with food? I'm Elizabeth from Nourish the Soul, and on the show, you will uncover the root to these imbalances and discover a permanent solution to having a healthy relationship to food and your body. Join us every Thursday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time on talkradio.nyc.
TalkingAlternative.com.
I didn't even put my microphone on this week. Completely forgot. So, hi, we're back. This is Noreen Sumpter from Beyond Potential with Billy Davis.
What's going on? Hey, Tank. How you doing, baby?
Billy Davis is an amazing individual. Not only just like power, strength, determination, the whole 9 yards. Life cannot stop Billy. Billy is life. You are. You really are.
Okay, I'll take that.
Yeah, you are. You're alive. You know, you really could be. I'm sure you have your down days. And
I mean, who doesn't? But I think of myself as kind of a force of nature.
Right.
Like a hurricane or a tornado, given I'm from Kansas.
Tornado, right.
Yeah, a tornado.
So is there anything that you want to share with, like somebody who has, it could be anything. It could be, people have issues that they have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. What would you say to somebody that has had some catastrophic thing happen to them? How would you ask them to deal with that?
That's a good question. I get asked this a lot.
I thought I was original.
Well, you are an original.
Thank you, darling.
But I do get, because of how I carry myself and my posturing around this in particular, I frequently am contacted by other people who are, my friend just lost a leg, my father, can you speak to this person? And it's pretty consistent. One is find a community.
Right.
You cannot do this by yourself.
Absolutely.
So you have to go out and find, a church group, a support group, anybody online. There are lots of communities, adaptive, this and that. I mean, there's lots of communities you can belong to. So I say do that. The next thing I always tell people is get up off your couch. I do triathlons because I love it. You don't have to do triathlons. Get up and walk.
Right.
But do something. Amputees have very high instances of obesity,
right,
type 2 diabetes, cardiac disease, cardiac illnesses, opioid abuse, alcoholism,
right,
mostly brought on by a sedentary lifestyle, depression, and lack of support.
Right.
So I'm a real big advocate of get off your couch, go move around, get some sunshine, breathe some fresh air, find a way. It's not over.
Right.
It's not over.
Right.
And it doesn't matter how old, how out of shape. I lost my leg as a fit person. So, a lot of people lose their limbs due to type 2 diabetes.
Right.
I sat in a support group with a guy that was like, yeah, they took my foot. They're taking my foot in February as he's eating a powdered donut.
Right.
You got to change your lifestyle. You got to change your lifestyle. You got to eat healthy, drink water. You can go to a pool and just wait around,
right,
but get off your couch, find a community, go out and meet some people. I'm blessed because New York has a very strong challenged athletes community, and I can go run with them. But I try to take that back to Kansas. I try to take that to Minneapolis, wherever I go.
Right.
I am a big proponent of showing your mettle. I know that a lot of amputees are not, but I'm a big show your mettle guy. Which means
what when you show your medal?
Show your medal basically means I show the prosthetic at every opportunity.
Right.
And I do that for a couple of reasons. The shorts. I wear the shorts as much as possible for a couple of reasons. One, if I have long pants on, I look like I just twisted my ankle,
Right.
and I don't get the care and the help that I need.
Right.
But the other thing is, which brings me to my next point, is I wear the shorts so that people can see me coming and they can see what's possible.
Right.
I would rather. I sat this afternoon after I got out. I was swimming around the corner of the JCC. Came out. Young man was looking at my leg. I offered myself up. Hey, do you have any questions? Young man, 7 years old. Oh, how does it work? He wants to tap it. That's fine. The other thing is to use the resources at your disposal.
Right.
My mother being in the system as a teacher, she was one of the first things she told me is, if you have resources, use them, because if you don't use them, they will take them away.
Absolutely.
So if that means you need Access-a-Ride, sign up for it. One of the things that I am guilty of, and I really need to do this, I need to sign up for a discount Metro card.
Right.
And it didn't even occur to me to do that until somebody says, why are you paying full price for a Metro card? You're permanently disabled. Get a discounted, and not that I'm so, I don't need.
It's because you don't really consider yourself disabled.
That's one of those. Yeah, that's one of those situations. But if you don't use those resources, and I need them, and I do use the Metro a lot, then those types of budgets go away.
Yes.
So I'd say use your resources, whether that's, discount cards on something, or church groups, or rides, share rides, Access-a-Rides. Learn who your local advocates are.
Right.
Victor Calisi, who works for Mayor de Blasio here in New York City, I was able to meet him a few years ago. Magnificent man, whose passion is to make New York the most disabled ability or challenged
City. I got you.
Yeah, whatever that is. He wants to make it the most accessible to people with challenges.
Right.
And I got a chance to sit down with Victor and Mr. Calisi and sit down and talk to him. He's a great man. So it's like, meet your local advocates.
Right.
And and be vocal about it. Because again, if you don't use your resources, they will go away.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, those are the big things I tell people.
What else can you share with people? So a woman loses, I'm just going to say a woman loses her leg, because, people have their sexuality and all that stuff tied up in their physicality.
Yeah.
How did that impact you in any way, or if at all?
I mean, I challenged it. I went through a thing, you wonder, what's it going to look like when I, with my significant other, and I have to take the leg off, or, and I was in a relationship when I lost the leg, shout out Nikki, love you. But I also know that there are people that try to get into dating, and then it becomes, okay, so do I disclose? Do I not disclose? And there's a group out there. They're called devotees who have a fetish around people with limb loss. Mm-hmm. So you got to work around that. At the end of the day, you got to be comfortable with yourself. Right. So, I know that that's a conversation that, again, if you're comfortable with yourself and you get out and share with other people, you find other people that are like that and they can help you with it.
Right. Oh,
we have a caller?
We have a caller. Hello, Heather, and thank you for calling in for Beyond Potential, Live Life Your Way. Do you have a question for Billy, or?
Yeah, I have a question for Billy. So I'm in Chicago. I'm not in New York or Minneapolis. So what can we do if we're listening and want to help? Shout out Trojans.
Rock Chalk, or Hoy Hoy Mighty Troy. Sorry.
What can we do to help bring Cheeseburger Day to our communities and to help year-round as well?
Is this Heather Carper?
We can do. Yeah, this is Heather Carper.
What's going on, girl? What's up? We went to high school together.
Billy, come on, keep it together.
Sorry. Okay, so one thing you can do is you can go to Facebook. I've already set up a Facebook page, event page for Cheeseburger Day 2018. It's Cheeseburger Day 2018. You can go to that page, and I'll have everything there. I'll have a GoFundMe set up in short time. I would also say if if you really feel passionate, you can contact me via the website. I'll talk to a local burger spot. The places that I've had do it in the past have created a cheeseburger for me, and people will come in and buy the cheeseburger, and then that money goes directly to Wiggleyourtoes, which is great. That's one thing you can do. I would just say, spread the love that way. We could do a Cheeseburger Day. If you get enough buzz in Chicago, I'll come to Chicago and hang out and eat cheeseburgers with you, Heather. I love you, girl.
Don't threaten me, because Tomar's coming out here to do Hamilton, so this might be a reunion situation.
I do know that. I do know Tomar's in Hamilton, so yeah, for sure.
All right, well, you take care. Thanks.
Love you too. Take care.
Thank you, Heather, for calling in. Appreciate you. Oh, that was nice.
Yeah.
So we have a few more minutes to the end of the show. So is there anything that you would like, any question that you would like me to ask you? Tell me and I'll ask you.
You know, I got to tell the Cheeseburger Day story. I'm really big on that. I want people, I'm really committed to $25,000. So if you, like I said, get on the Cheeseburger Day website, like post pictures. If you've been to Cheeseburger Day in the past, if you've participated in the past, start posting pictures of some of those. I'm going to start throwing people up there, putting people on blast. If you know somebody that has a burger joint,
we have a huge community together. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm going to tap in. I'm going to make a lot of uncomfortable phone calls, a lot of unreasonable requests.
Yes, that's right. Unreasonable requests.
So yeah,
they won't be uncomfortable. People will love to hear from you.
Yeah. You know, but you know, just if you see a brother, say hi, you know, go out and support somebody. And you know, the other thing I would say
know
is,
who I spoke to the other day?
Who's that?
You? No? Nelson Nuraka.
Really? How's he doing?
He's doing really, really well.
I hit him up a couple months ago. Yeah, I know his shop was moving. So
yes.
Yeah, I love Nelson. He's one of my favorite people on the planet.
He's definitely somebody that you can pull in. And,
I should call Nelson, see if we could do something with Nelson.
Definitely.
So yeah, I mean, you know, it's just about making a reasonable request. I'm a happy dude. I just want, like I said, I'm really committed to making this goal, $25,000. I know I can do it. I can't do it alone.
You got it.
So if you hear this, I don't want you to just talk about it. Like, spread it out there, put it out there. You know, if you're in the New York area, sign up to do a triathlon. I could use some partners. I'm putting together teams.
I've been there, done that.
Yeah.
So I've been there. So this is Noreen Sumpter. We're in the last minute of our show, but I just want to say I love you. I think you're awesome. I'm so proud of you. I think that you're amazing. I think that our listeners should go in and register for Cheeseburger Day. And did you take it?
This is my
I bet
one
you couldn't
party.
do that with your foot.
I can't. This is my party trick. You can see I put the leg upside down.
You can put your mic on it.
And put the phone right there.
That's amazing. I love your humor. I just, you know, you're amazing. And this happened for a reason and a purpose. And
Thank you.
You know, it sounds really odd, but I think this is divine.
Thank you. And can I just real quick shout out Prosthetics in Motion, Autobach, Wiggleyourtoes, Achilles, and all the groups that have been so supportive of me over the years. I am a blessed man.
Absolutely. So thank you for being on the show.
Thank
I love
you.
you. And I love you guys for being on the show. This was an
awesome.
awesome show.
This was fun.
So until next week, I will see you all. Bye.
Peace.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.